These are my top 5 Bulldogs wins of the 21st century. Just going to tell you the parameters of how I got to the top 5 before I get into it. Simple, no finals. I mean, we could all say, 2016 grand final or 2021 semi against the Lions, but I wanted true home and away season wins. And another thing, they're all from the 21st century, just because we've got too much to work with. Otherwise, I know we've all got magical memories, if you're old enough, of that great win against Collingwood at the MCG in 1990, or Dougie Hawkins breaking the game's record against the Cats in 1994. So I kept it to this century just so we can work with it. Anyway, here we go. Number 5, round 2, 2019 versus Hawthorn at the MCG. The Hawks kicked 4 of the first 5 goals in a really wet day, and at three-quarter time, they're up by 30 points, and it genuinely looks like they've got our measure. But in an absolute resurgence for Bevo's Pups Mark II, we kick 9 goals in the final quarter with everything going right for us. Shaki kicked 4 goals, Billy Gowers got 3, Libba was unstoppable. Beating the Hawks is always fun. Beating the Hawks with a couple of dodgy free kicks at their home ground and watching their entitled fans become pure Hulk rage monsters, nothing is better. Oh, I need a cigarette. Number 4, round 1, 2008 versus Adelaide. Now, yes, I might be extremely biased, but nobody has ever played a better 300th game in AFL footy than Brad Johnson. It was a real topsy-turvy match with both sides getting big leads at different points in the game. And at the 25-minute mark of the final quarter, the Crows are up by 8 points and they look home. Then Brad Johnson goes nuclear. He kicked 3 amazing goals in the final few minutes to seal an epic win. It was one of those rare moments in footy where one of the nice guys is smiled upon by the footy gods. It was so exciting. It was so perfect. I loved it. Number 3, round 15, 2016. Dogs v Swans at the SCG. Yeah, 2016. The greatest year in all of our lives. It's impossible to choose a favourite in that year, but this is just for home and away games, and even then it's an embarrassment of riches of really exciting wins. And even though we have all watched a certain other game from that year against the Swans, this one was an absolute classic. We were up by 17 points early in the final quarter, and then the Swans did what the Swans so often did in that era. They just piled on 3 goals in 3 minutes, and suddenly we were down. The rest of the match is an absolute arm wrestle. It gets to the dying seconds. Bitterbont Magic, who then passes to JJ, who, in his first match back from a hamstring injury, kicked the winner from 50 with seconds to spare. Now, if this was a novel, that would be called foreshadowing. But sadly, literature as an art form is yet to catch up with the magical storytelling that is the 2016 AFL season. Number 2, round 19, 2022, Dogs v Ds at Doglands. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Now, that's not always the case. I would have loved some nice hot revenge in round 1 of that year. But this lukewarm revenge was still pretty tasty. Mostly because the Demons were still in red hot form. And for the majority of this match, they scored freely and easily in ways that I would describe, but this is a Bulldogs video and I don't want to flare up your PTSD. What was fantastic is the way that the Dogs never gave up. We kept fighting, and even better, we got our first taste of absolute dominance from Jamara Ugle-Hagan. He kicked 5, the best one being the winner from outside 50 from the boundary. A night of pure, uncut emotion that will not be topped for a very long time. Number 1, round 21, 2000, Dogs v Bombers at Doglands. Not many matches can actually say they changed the course of football forever. The 2000 Bombers were frankly unstoppable, and it looked at that point that they would go through the entire year without losing a match. And yet, despite being one of the greatest sides to ever play the game, when people talk about the 2000 Bombers, they only talk about this match. That's how historically important this game is. It actually all started in 1999 off-season when Dogs coach Terry Wallace was off working with the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a bit of downtime over there, and so he tried to explain Aussie rules to the Jaguars coaches and asked them to come up with some tactics. So what would they do in a game like this? And the Jaguars coaches thought about it and wrote out a very defensive territory-based strategy, which was largely unsuitable for Aussie rules. And it was only in the desperate hour of playing the Bombers that Wallace decided to give these tactics a go, and thus invented the flood. The Dogs suffocated the Bombers, and the Bombers were so good, they still almost won this. It was only thanks to a mind-blowing performance by Chris Grant that we were able to steal the greatest win in our club's home and away history. And the nicest guy in footy, Brad Johnson, he took the win with good humour and grace that we would have expected from him. So that's my list. What do you reckon? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments and all the thing YouTubers say. I'm going to be talking to fans of other teams, so if there's someone you want me to talk to about their team's best wins and losses, let me know in the comments.